Hello everyone. Well, it is March the 12th, 2017, Sunday. It is day 9 of Towergate, or Obamagate, or whatever gate you want to call it. It has been 9 days since Trump woke up on a Saturday morning and tweeted out that Barack Obama was spying on him. So, in the last 24 hours, we've had one new development that's a little bit interesting. As we know, James Comey came out via a third party last week and said that the FBI was not involved in surveilling Trump, spying on Trump. And of course, we now know that's about 98% false. Unless you want to mince words, in which case James Comey will, and he'll say that they weren't spying on Trump, they were spying on Trump's server. Okay, so anyhow, that's where James Comey stood. And he did also ask the former Attorney General to come out and make a statement stating that that the FBI was clean and they weren't involved in it as well. Of course, that would be Loretta Lynch, and of course, there's still an APB out for Loretta Lynch. No one has heard from Loretta Lynch or the former CIA Director, John Brennan, the two people who are most likely responsible for these activities. So James Comey comes out yesterday and he says that he is going to be conducting an internal investigation within the FBI, not so much to find out who may have been surveilling Trump, but more on the issue of the leakers, who may be the ones responsible for the leaks. Remember, this is signal intel. It's not a very big department. You have maybe 1,000 people total in the entire signal intelligence area, and you may have 30 to 40 people who actually do the actual hacking itself or surveillance or what have you. So it won't take long to find the leaker if they're really serious about finding them. And Comey is going to look internally at the FBI to see if they can determine who it is that's leaking this information. So this is important because if you identify the leaker, that leaker probably has someone in his chain of command that you're going to look at that person and that person's boss and that person's boss. You're going to work the way up your chain until you find the person who actually gave the order. Carrying out the order and giving the order are two different things. You're going to get people on both ends. The person who originally said, hey, we want you to do this surveillance, and the person who was actually the keyboard warrior who did it. Okay? And this person is probably going to want to save his neck. So he'll probably be willing to cut a deal or talk or what have you. If they want to find the leaker, it shouldn't be too hard to do. And it shouldn't take that long to do it. Because again, you're dealing with signal intel. There's not a whole lot of people involved in that. You're not looking at the entire intelligence community. You're looking at a very small section of the people who would actually deal with this kind of surveillance. And this may not just be surveillance coming from inside the FBI. In fact, if James Comey is telling the truth, and other than the looking at the server, if it's something other than that, that person may be within the FBI, but I assume that when James Comey says he's doing an internal investigation to find the leaker, he's on one hand saying we're going to find out if it's someone within the FBI, but he's probably also going to be open to looking at whether or not it's someone from one of the intelligence agencies, which would be the CIA or the NSA or someone like that. So he didn't get real specific on how expansive his internal investigation will be, but it looks like he is going to make that move, which is kind of a step backwards because he came out pretty strongly and said the FBI was not involved in any of this, but now he's willing to look at where the leaks may be coming from. And I think that when you find out who that person is, it's going to tie you to the same group of people who are probably responsible for the surveillance. And let's keep in mind, at this point, as we sit here on day 9, we are getting what we typically get in these types of events, which is the slow drip, 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 and this will just continue. This is why I'm doing daily updates on this. But there's something to keep in mind in all of this, too, is that we have not seen the FISA warrant. We have not seen the memorandum or the work that would go with the FISA warrant to give the reasonable cause or reasonable suspicion or probable cause for why they wanted to seek the warrant. that's still a very important piece of information. It's looking like we're not going to actually get to see that, as far as no one's going to actually get a copy of that FISA warrant and hold it up on front of the cameras and say, here's the FISA warrants, of which we know there was 3 or 2. One that was denied, one that was approved, and then we have a separate warrant. This was not a FISA warrant. It was a standard general criminal warrant by the FBI. That's the one to look at the server. And so it is very possible that, again, we're talking about American citizens, which would mean this would be in the purview of the FBI. The intelligence agencies are foreign intelligence agencies. They're not supposed to be operating inside the United States. So we actually have 2 things. We have what may be legitimate surveillance or wiretapping of Trump, his server, people around him. In other words, the president or the attorney general, they went to the FISA court, they gave the reason, they got their warrant, they did what they do. That while that may be despicable and it may look like it was politically motivated, you could probably certainly make the case that it was legal. And but we have to remember that when it comes to surveillance on the president or even the candidate for president, the Republican nominee, in this case Donald Trump, we have the CIA, we have 16 intelligence agencies. Now, these intelligence agencies, again, they're generally not supposed to be doing surveillance on American citizens inside the United States. That doesn't mean they don't do it. It just means that they are not legally allowed to do that. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So we may have had legitimate surveillance coming from the FBI, meaning they followed the legal procedures to do that. But we may also have surveillance being conducted by one or more of the 16 intelligence agencies. That's the ones we know about. There's probably several more we don't know about. But I'm saying that we could be looking at a situation where you could have had legitimate surveillance, meaning they followed the legal process, but we could also have illegal surveillance of Donald Trump. And you have to remember, in his situation, he's a Republican nominee running in the general election. You have to know that it would not be unusual at all for the intelligence agencies to be surveilling Donald Trump, wiretapping Donald Trump, and the people around him. Also, foreign intelligence agencies, the Russians, the Chinese, the Israelis, the Iranians, North Korea, the Brits, the French, whoever, and everyone. All these intelligence agencies are trying to spy on the president or on the man, or in this case the woman, Hillary or Trump, who are running for president. Certainly all these intelligence agencies are trying to intercept communications from these 2 people. This shouldn't be a surprise to any of us, especially with what we're learning from WikiLeaks. So this is where things get a little bit sticky. You are investigating the potentially legitimate surveillance, which means they follow the legal process. But again, you could have surveillance that was being done by rogue elements of some of the intelligence agencies or by foreign governments' intelligence agencies. So there's probably a lot of spying, a lot of eavesdropping, a lot of surveillance, a lot of wiretapping, a lot of these types of things going on. And it's just a matter of who's behind it and whether or not it was legal. What the purpose was to do it. Was it politically motivated? Was it actual, national security issue? So these are the things that have to play themselves out. And it looks like we're not going to actually get to see these warrants and things like that. But it appears that if you look across the whole media, whether it's the left, the right, the center, the network TV, cable TV, the internet, it looks about 90%, maybe higher, that these reporters who are citing these anonymous sources, it looks like they're willing to stick their neck out and put their credibility on the line and go on television and say, yeah, I can't reveal my sources, but I'll stick my neck out there and say that I am 100% confident that my sources are solid, that there was a warrant that was requested back in the summer. It was declined. There was another warrant, FISA warrant, that was accepted. And then there was another warrant by the FBI, which wasn't a FISA, just a standard warrant. So these are the things that we're looking at right now. It's a Sunday. Donald Trump didn't tweet anything this morning. So nothing new to talk about there. But it is kind of interesting that James Comey appears to be backtracking a bit, feeling a little bit of pressure. I imagine, if anything, his major motivation is to clear the FBI, and also if they can discover the source of the leaks. Because remember, he works for Trump now, and Trump says, "Hey, I want you to investigate and find out if there's any leaks." Well, we know there's leaks. Find out, if you can, where they came from. So this could pit the FBI up against the CIA, and the NSA, which happens all the time. It's been going on. They don't necessarily have a love affair. Let's put it that way, because they're always the FBI thinks that the CIA intrudes on their turf, and they do. Okay, this is known. So anyway, kind of a slow day on Trumpgate, Towergate, Obamagate, whatever you want to call it. But interesting move by James Comey. Again, I still think the most interesting thing is that we haven't heard a word out of Loretta Lynch or the former CIA Director John Brennan. I believe they are intimately involved in this activity. The fact that they've not taken the opportunity to come out and defend themselves, their agencies, and to take advantage of an excellent opportunity to counterpunch against Trump. That tells me a lot. It tells me they're staying quiet, they're keeping their mouths shut, they're hunkered down, and they're waiting to see how things develop. This reminds me a lot of Watergate. It was the exact same way with Watergate, and Iran-Contra, where you start off with an investigation like this, and you get little drip, 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 until finally it reaches critical mass, or until a whistleblower or someone comes out. That would usually be someone who's feeling pressure and decides they want to save their neck. So we'll continue watching it, but that's today's update. And don't forget, we have the Dutch elections coming up in 3 days on the 15th. I'll be covering that probably on Tuesday. I'll do a video on that. We'll be getting into the French elections toward the end of the week, and of course I'll continue to do my daily updates on the on Obamagate or Trumpgate or whatever we're going to call it, Towergate, whatever gate. Alrighty, so you guys take care and enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have some really big news. Alrighty, see y'all. Bye.